creatives, community kind folks, and Fat Ninja DM, the faculty member from Fantasy Grounds College. Thank you very much for the coffee this morning. Appreciate you coming to this meeting today as we educate ourselves, especially me, about angels and celestials on today, Third Pillar Thursday. As if you're not familiar, this is a tabletop RPG a community group discussion, chat, live stream for at least an hour, although we tend to go far longer than that. And we pick a theme all week. And this entire week, we've been talking about angels and celestials in our tabletop RPG settings. And today is Third Pillar Thursday. So always got to remind people, third pillar, what the hell does that mean? Well, pillar of gaming is exploration, with the first and second pillar being combat and social interaction. And how I interpret the third pillar of gaming, that hey Zev, thanks for joining me. Yeah, the Third Pillar Thursday is about exploration, using the environment, making that very stable triangle of sorts in your tabletop RPG. So you have your adventurers, and they have their adversaries, and they're about to have a conflict, but you want to put them in a place that is exciting and dynamic and descriptive and memorable, and everything adds to the drama and all that kind of stuff. So, of course, you guys, yeah, I know. I always broadcast 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and everybody else is either overseas, which is a little more appropriate for the time that they're partaking of these live chats. But those of us in the States, yeah. Oh well. All right. So as always, I don't shy away from any challenge. So how can we, I hear you, Zeb, how can we shape our angels and celestials in terms of shaping the environment, making it far more dynamic? Well, normally with Third Pillar Thursdays, we talk about the natural environment or the man-made environment, but I think we're probably going to have to talk arcane. So natural environment: storms, winds, deserts, tornadoes, sandstorms, jungles, swamps, mountains, all that kind of stuff. Fog, freezing cold. Okay, that's natural. Then you have unnatural: big cities, rooftops running, going through sewer systems, fighting on the docks, abandoned buildings, construction sites, fighting in forges or clockwork towers, anything like that. All right, so we see that a ton in, of course, both sides. We see natural and man-made environments in our intellectual properties: television, movies, books, graphic novels, anything like that. We got a ton of ideas. But for angels and celestials, I think we can go very arcane, very magical, very divine with it. So as a basis, of course, we generally talk in terms of like Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, but it doesn't really matter what game you're thinking of. But I would start mining the magical capabilities of like clerics and paladins in your world, the people who receive the power from divine sources and bring them down to earth. And I would start mining a ton of those special powers that they receive, and bring them down to earth, to the common man, and that the celestials themselves are bringing it. A perfect example is, we really don't have a problem with, like, let's say a portal or a number of portals, or there's an incursion by fiendish creatures from the netherworlds. Even in places like in Ravnica, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, there are fiendish creatures that run around, and they have these like weird fiendish pain and pleasure parties that people get drawn into, and sometimes they might even become victims of getting their flesh flayed or something at these big parties. But we can imagine the evil creatures being pulled in, but what about the goodly creatures, the ones that bring with them light and justice, or at least they claim to? What can we use with that? Well, Zev says in areas where it probably can't support life, rocks, caves, rock slide, that kind of thing, it is overblown with plant life. Maybe it's on fire with white flame, undamaged. See, you're going where I'm going, right? So in fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons, there are damage sources, and a lot of games do this, whether they explicitly or unexplicitly mention it, that a lot of games have a damage source. Okay, piercing, edged, blunt damage, and then you go more wild. You've got hot and cold, electricity, which is basically lightning damage. We've got sound, which is thunder damage, but we have radiant damage as well, and radiant sources. But we can kind of pull on that radiant source. So Zev is talking about places that can't support life, are probably overblown with plant life. Radiant energy is the energy of life. Force damage. Well, in fifth edition, they actually have a separation between force and bludgeoning, which I think is, I get that they separated the two, maybe because of far more for what do you call that? Balance issues rather than common sense. But yeah, Rickard says place where an angel a place where an angel died could be a place of tranquility, small pool of restoration in the middle, and a pacifistic aura around the near area, good berries growing around. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you could even go so far as to apply certain things like trolls. Classically, trolls heal and they recover very quickly from being punished, except for like acid and fire and things. Who's to say that the people that protect, maybe some of these areas are known as great protectorates, where, like you said, an angel died, or there was a battle, or they blessed an area or pool of water, a religious site, or what have you. It could be the people or creatures, even natural animals, have been gifted with this ability to heal themselves, just on the norm. And sure, I'm sure a number of PCs would go, "Oh, cool! A whole lake of a healing potion. I'm gonna have myself a blast. Mix this with some with my favorite alcohol or whatever, and go to town." But the drawback might be that you can't leave, or it may be dependent upon your life. So if you leave the pool, maybe all of the wounds and injuries and the aging and all that kind of stuff that you had before all comes back to you after like 24 hours of leaving these pooled areas. You could always put a limitation on it. But yes, there could be areas that are protected by zealots or divine people or the population or even soldiers and whatnot. And I mean, let's take a look at a bunch of spells like sanctuary spell, sacred flame, zone of truth, protection from good and evil. Like, and you can start ramping up the spell levels higher and higher, and just make them natural aspects in the world. You could even go so far as to cover a whole city in a zone of truth, or any number of spell or spell-like abilities, especially if the PCs are like, hey, we're going to knock some heads, and then all the people have to do is close their eyes and pray a little bit, and maybe they hear a choir in the background, and it's like a healing word because the choir is singing, and it's just like, wait a minute, like, we thought these enemies would be easy to take out, and they're healing every time we hit them. Like, oh man, yeah. Zev says infinite healing potions, but I'm going to go back up in the chat. Zev says a monastic order may have been built on the resting spot, life energy overflowing the spot, allowing people to take in that energy to better themselves and fill them with understanding, of course. And I mean, for a very neutral, if you're just making them as NPCs or neutral, perfectly acceptable. It could be almost the equivalent of like a monastic order, monks order, sages collecting information, recording the the trials and tribulations as the world goes through its shift, as the battle of the celestial beings and the fiendish beings, confront on our earth, or whatever the story is, right? Ricker says you could also go the other way. The death causes a ripple of energy to radiate out, searing the immediate area, turning everything to ash, making ash snow down in a large area around the site. Oh, and so you're saying like it could, celestials could be could be making things dynamic. So just as much as they're bringing their radiant energy, and exacerbating the problem, that maybe it's very easy for like the other energies, like the necrotic energies, to be far more available or immediate, or have an impact on the area. And maybe there are angels here sent, almost like making a ripple or a rip in the fabric of reality. Maybe they're sent to cure these areas, or maybe they're bored and they send other people. Like, we've got more important things to do, but you normal human beings, worshipers of us, or faithful, or whatever, maybe it's your job to fix it. You could go a really bizarre way and make, follow me here. You could have undead be powered by radiant energy instead of necrotic people being brought back to life, who cannot die if left to their own devices. That's a possibility too. Zev says, in Dragon's Dogma, the video game, there's a place called a healing sprung, magic water that'll heal you full by standing in it. I placed a fast travel point there and bought 100 empty bottles. Yeah, infinite healing potions. Yeah, well, I mean, that may be a thing, and probably. Are players going to do that? Of course they are. They're going to take their extra dimensional, their portable hole, or bag of holding or something, fill it with a whole bunch of bottles, sell it on the black market. They're probably not going to sell it. Hey, Jay Crine says, or conversely, where an angel dies, the land is cursed, a permanent punishment for the crime of raising a hand against the forces of divinity. Kind of like when the unicorn dies in Legend. Ooh, yeah, I'm liking where you guys are going with this, and how well can you play with that? Maybe there might be founts of, some of this might be our own fault as humanity. So it's the idea of not just the lower planes being a repository for our evil acts. You can also, maybe that rises up into the prime material plane. And so for people that are good, it leaves a like deposit of goodness, if that makes sense. Although I'm getting scatological humor in my head right now, but they could also be leaving deposits of sins and evil. And it's, so when these when the angels die or they bleed to the ground, it might be, it's like they're showing their pain, and it's affecting the world because we are not pure individuals. And so maybe that's where some of our you could make that the origin of where goblins and some of these other creatures and minotaurs and manticores and stuff come from, as opposed to simply being instead of separating them. That could be an excuse for that, like, oh, this battlefield is where the blood of the angels spilled, and that's why we're being harassed by these hordes of creatures or something. It also, you could also go towards the level of having it have a dramatic effect on how character abilities and spells are used in the area. So for example, like you mentioned, Jonathan, that like in Legend where the unicorn died, it could be so, it's like these pure creatures are filled with such purity because they're like sin eaters maybe, and if they die, if they spill their blood, it has such a dramatic effect on the landscape that it brings the plants to life, and it's like nasty, like oozes are there, what's the thing, gibbering mouthers or something, just like spring forth, the classic trolls, the ugly classic trolls that heal themselves, and they could be rampaging or punishing people. And it could be that the remnants that are left there are motivated by things that are not natural. So they could be going after specific people, rather than just being a randomized, oh, it's horrible, we need to run. Some of these creatures, like displacer beasts, might be the remnants of some of these things, and they could be hunting down people of a particular faith, patrolling through cities and sniffing people and realizing that, literally smelling the radiance from them and looking for the people of these that are faithful to one or more of these factions of angels or something. That would be kind of cool too, to have creatures motivated by something beyond just hunger or breeding or something, but they're actually hunting the people who are the warlocks, the clerics, the paladins, the unfaithful, the people who are just like, giving middle fingers to the gods as well. Zev says perhaps every angel turns to stone, their flesh losing its luster as their radiant energy leaves, and it leaves them in a rock. As time passes, their body erodes, and it just looks like a long boulder. Ooh, yeah. I pulled I think in the thumbnail I pulled like a real world statue of an angel. That's a possibility, that maybe they're like elephants. If they can, when an angel dies, they will try to return to their chosen protectorate and die there, turning to stone. And maybe there's some like residual portion of their form that stays there. So maybe some of the newer recognizable statues are surrounded by the faithful, that people maybe take pilgrimages there. You could even, if you really want to start affecting things, it's a possibility maybe faithful characters like a wizard reads their spell book. Maybe these characters, you put a limitation that they can only recover their abilities if they go to these holy sites, not necessarily a church, a recognized holy site, but maybe there are these statues that are spread all over the kingdom, hidden in little pockets in deep jungles or covered by desert sands or something. And instinctively, maybe they can sense where these places are, and the older the angels are, the more faint it is. But maybe they can track them down and recover their, i.e. make it a mechanical thing, recover their spell abilities by praying for, concentrating, or, demanding even, or cursing the angelic beings to give them their power so they can continue the fight. Zev says perhaps their halo still holds their essence. Ooh, when a being holds it, they hear them clearly. The angel speaks to them mentally. Clerics can use it as a holy symbol focus. It compels you to be more altruistic if you are usually callous. Yeah, I like that. Especially a halo being used as like a bargaining chip or a form of economy. Ooh, that's kind of nasty there, but yeah, I could see that. An angel's tears become like coins. Just maybe they might be, they're almost like little bits of liquid, but you can hold, like they never disperse, or you can't break them, but they're like little soft tears that you can hold in a purse, and each one has its own. It's like each tear represents something that happened that the angel maybe cried over. Maybe they committed an act they didn't want to, or they see pain and suffering that they didn't want to, and each one could be a form of economy. That would be sweet and nasty too, because the act of taking angels' tears and using it as a form of a payment or money, or barter, in and of itself sounds rather callous to me, but I like that. Rickard says, going by the curse angel angle, if a sufficiently powerful celestial dies, symbols tied to the same faith it serves instantly corrode. Ooh, oh, so maybe there are people who have like tattoos or brands. Maybe it's put on banners or carved. These symbols are these markings are carved into the door frames of people's homes. There could be political leaders that wear emblems that represent these individuals, and if the PCs might be put in a position of having to defend an angel that doesn't want the defense, like they're like, no, I'm going into battle, and the PCs are like, we don't need you in battle, like our people need to be defended, we've got to protect you. Or maybe the PCs are on the hunt for angels that have gone underground, maybe injured, uh, diseased, poisoned, wounded in some kind of way. And if they truly die, that, like you said, uh, those symbols might corrode and leave people undefended, and it's only through them being alive, although barely, that keeps maybe the fiendish hordes outside of the high walled city states or something. So the PCs may need to, you could do a little investigation where they need to uncover where this angelic being is and bring them back to their prominence before the fiends find them. It could be like a race against time. Zev says an angel's halo maybe be able to be ground up into a fine liquid to make an unearthly golden lipstick or blush, giving the user a radiant beauty. That is nasty, and I love it so much. Wow. Okay, side note, I understand. Okay, this is Third Pillar Thursday, but I just have to say, man, like, with when it comes to like the angels and celestials, like not just themselves, but even everything around it, they're like asses, man. It's just like, there's so many evil, despicable things with them. I think the only difference between angels and fiends is that the fiends know their assholes, I think. Yeah, Rickard says, back to environments, as we are kind of world building now, I realize. Yeah, definitely squirreled. I hear you, but I do like the lipstick and radiant beauty. People suffering for their hacking up an angel and using them to adorn their clothing with the feathers of a downed angel pinned down with spikes or something. Yeah, you're fine. So, all right. So Rickard says radiant storms. We tend to not value the cycles of life as player characters, not in reality, but I'm saying as player characters. So, for example, when you harvest crops, you need to harvest the crops at a certain time. There are, the cows and chickens and pigs and the fishing community bring those meat products into port and disseminate them amongst the people as people go through the bazaars to get their meats for the day and make their stew and all this kind of stuff. Imagine a radiant storm that brings life back to these once living things that are dead. And if the people do not take certain precautions, maybe guided by particular religious institutions or proctors or something like that, that these creatures will come back to life, maybe or maybe not remembering that they were killed, or they might want their lives back. That might be pretty nasty. Almost a not brought back to life in the necrotic way, like undead, but literally brought back to life, like I died before, or this cow was hacked up and died, and then it just starts like walking around with its internal organs like splayed out and stuff. That'd be pretty nasty. Radiance. Rickard says a storm that is seductively deadly. If you are stuck in it, you are healed at first, but more and more energy pours into you. Maybe, okay, follow me on this. Maybe it's the opposite of like being touched by, what are the creatures? Mummies or wraiths or wights. So when those creatures harm you, when you suffer damage, you cannot heal that damage back naturally. Maybe the radiant storms infuse you with so much energy that you will become lost to it. Not just addicted, but your mind you will become pacified by the pure bliss from it. And maybe there are like maybe there are these people walking around like bliss zombies. They have a constant smile on their face, and no matter how much their feet bleed, and no matter how many times people beat them in the streets, they're still smiling, and they want to spread that bliss to you, and you just become this automaton, just wanting to make people happy, and all you can say is like, "Hi, I want to spread joy to you. Give me a hug." It might be something weird like that. Um, I would love that. Like, you get like the radiant storms almost paralyze you as you're suffused with the energy, but everyone knows that you'll get lost to it, or maybe you might even fade away. Maybe it air quotes kills you. It brings you into the positive material plane. It turns you into, as you get suffused with it, you become this radiant life energy. And as it's like not knowing what the afterworld is. Like, some people desire it, others are like, no, my life isn't done yet. I don't know what's on the other side, but I'm going to hide from these radiant storms. Radiant storms might prevent complete darkness too. There's no shadow for like 12 hours as the radiant storms pass by. Ooh. Radiant storms could repair things. Collapsed bridge all of a sudden gets mended. I don't know. Maybe that's going too far, but you could play with that as well. Or all those enemies that the PCs kill 37 creatures. Radiant storm passes by. All the creatures wake back up again, ready to fight. Hey, remember time that you remember 5 seconds ago you cut my head off? Well, I'm ready. Perhaps a radiant storm is a sudden growth spurt of things. As you walk through an empty grass plain, trees sprout fully grown wildly. Animal stampedes come in to eat the fresh food or begin roosts. Yeah. Good berries end up overgrowing in the fields, and the animals start eating them. Or the trolls and the other creatures, the goblinoids or whatever, start harvesting the good berries because they've been growing from the radiant storms, and the PCs are just like face palming, like, oh no, again. Vincent says, fields of feathers, dropped by the angels. Maybe. Zev says, perhaps the bliss granted by a radiant storm or field blessed by radiant energy, once you go without it too long, may make you lose your will. Yeah, you miss the calling. You miss that pure, that feeling of being inside of something that's pure life and growth and absolute purity. Might be something that's addictive in a way that without it you just become a normie, a gnat, a regular person, and that's not something you want. Let's see. The now shadows could cause blindness if you're in it too long. Ooh, I like that. Maybe you could reskin creatures like shadow demons and shadow dragons into radiant versions of the same thing. So, here's something. Characters who are of a religious bent for this, instead of casting a dark shadow, they cast a shadow of pure light. So their shadow at midnight, their shadow glows as they walk along, as if the sun were shining and casting a dark shadow. When the moon shines, their shadow casts light, and that's how you know someone's like an Asimar or something, or a warlock, or a faithful to the beings of the celestial courts or something like that. That'd be kind of sweet. Your wisdom or perception, Zeb says, may take a penalty as you feel tired and empty without that pure joy. So the radiant storms themselves might be keeping away the exhaustion that you'll feel when you're away from them. Almost like a, I'm going to butcher this for people who really suffer from this, but like a severe case of depression, sort of like when you leave these radiant storms, it's almost maybe the PCs have to be weaned away from them, or the population has to be weaned away, or they hunt out the next, or try to predict the next storm and go towards it. Radiant storm lets everything glow, cannot hide anymore. I like that. I like the opposite of that, right? Where you have deep, your characters who want to hide in deep shadow. Maybe the light brings things to the forefront. And again, maybe we go back to using some of those spell-like abilities. Maybe instead of not maybe, but in addition to bringing that bright light where you can't hide, it also brings things like protection from good and evil, sanctuary, um, zone of truth, healing word, or cure wounds or something, and affects everything and everyone equally with it. Yeah. Oh, a coatl blessed a forest. Ooh, yeah. Vince says, Vince brought up the fact of the radiant storms lets everything glow and cannot hide anymore. Could be a pilgrim destination. These storms heal your wounds and forgive your sins. Yeah, absolutely. Animals and plants that get hit enough with it grow feathers or wings, and that's how you get flying snakes, a coatl blessed a forest. And holy winged spiders. Yeah, there you go. Your dead man jumps in. Maybe the Pegasi are just angel horses. Yeah, maybe the Pegasi are the fallen mounts of great paladins and clerics that fell in battle, and it just happens to be their mounts that died with them, and now they're just Pegasi and unicorns or something. That'd be kind of cool. And what a great bizarre but cool excuse to have your owlbears and your manticores and other creatures, chimeras in your world. Like, oh no, they weren't created by an experiment by a wizard. They just happened to be caught up in these radiant storms that have passed by because of the rip in the fabric of space and time by angelic beings, and they just happen to have existed in it and lived in it and combined together, and that's why they're there. And maybe like chimeras are servitors of sorts from these angelic beings, right? Maybe, or maybe they feel they have their original alignments because of the horror they feel from the radiant energy, or the fact that they can't feel it any longer, like God's voice speaking in your ear, and now you no longer hear it because it was removed from you, and you just take it out on everybody else, with instinctively or passionately or something. Um, Jonathan Klein says, what about celestial plants brought down from Mount Celestia? Whole invasive biomes grow where an angel walks. Ooh, by footsteps. Wow. Indestructible flowers crack castle walls over a few days via rapid growth. Yeah. Ooh. Well, first of all, I'm following you on the steps of an angel. They fly through the air, but when they walk, there's growth that actually follows along their footsteps. And like you said, there's indestructible flowers cracking castle walls and growing and having overgrowth, i.e. we can start snatching some effects from some like entangle spell and some of those other druidic things. Maybe the mere presence, the radiant rains that spill down from the skies, bring to life elemental forces as well. And the angelic beings may not even care, or life follows them wherever they go. And so now that they're on a prime material plane, that life infuses other things, making plants alive, the very air, fire, volcanic, the lava and earth. It brings them to life for whatever reason. It maybe even in league with these celestial beings, although we may not understand why they're being destructive. Zed says, or perhaps eating food in a blessed field creates giant versions of the creature. I know you said blessed, but I like the word blessed. I.e. dire wolves are just wolves that eat deer that eat the blessed grass. Yeah, yep. All the dire creatures, and you could make a ton more, right? All the dire creatures are the way they are because of eating this plants. And you could even take it even further, from wolves to dire wolves to wargs to werewolves. Why not? And then change the classic werewolf or lycanthrope or something. Vince says holy plants. But I'm not. I know. I'm thinking of the word you were trying to say. Crumble and wither, weapons soaked in blood. Oh, walls. Holy plants let walls crumble and wither, weapons soaked in blood. That's a different way of putting it. Like, you could have, like, holy plants are the equivalent of like rust monsters. Like, they don't want to be harmed, and your act of violence causes your weapons to crumble, and maybe walls or something that the angelic beings, and of course their subsequent um side effects are like, no, we want to tear the walls down. We want to all be one people and hug it all out. Everyone's like, I'm not hugging those orcs. Zeb says, see, we always imagine Mount Celestia having beautiful unknown flowers grow everywhere, but what if they escaped from a plane shift portal? Flowers that change colors, creating mirror illusions. Yep. Being able to crush in a mortar and pestle and used as lesser restoration in a bottle. And of course, on their own home plane, maybe it's perfectly natural and not even harmful. But when taken away, much like drugs in our own world, when prescribed in its proper form, oh, it's very helpful when used. But put into when it's uncontrollable, when it's put into a region that's not where it's supposed to be, maybe it has a really violent effect on it. Or who's to say that you can't place alignments on living things that normally don't, that are normally quote unquote unaligned? It could be that some of these natural creatures, these dire creatures, are working in league with the lawful and neutral and chaotic good forces or something. Zed steals this for personal homebrew. I think you can steal from yourself. Hey, if you're anything like me, and I know I am, I would steal it. Vince says dimensional portals could create invasive species and plants around it. Absolutely, hiding it away. Maybe there's like a half we need to close the portal, half we need to find the portals kind of adventure-ish thing, that they're hidden away, but these portals are spewing out the pollen that makes these invasive species. And again, the fiendish creatures are like, yeah, we're helping you out to keep these things from invading. Although I'm sure they're bringing their own flaming pits with people being sacrificed in them. But ignore that part. We're trying to help you out. Vince says, imagine getting ill from an angel sickness. That would be nasty stuff if it still works on them. Ooh. Maybe an angel sickness transforms you into something else in league with them. So maybe you become a harpy or a manticore or a gargoyle or some other thing that changes you. So on the outset, the players are like, oh, am I growing wings? Sweet, I get a fly speed for free at second level or something like that, right? But then maybe over time it's like, yeah, you get a fly speed. Go ahead and make a save when you wake up in the morning. Oh, did you fail that wisdom save? Sorry, your character's under my control now. Oh, wait till tomorrow. Wait till dusk and the sun sets. You'll get your character back. That's a little save or suck. But yeah, Zeb says, would an angel sickness need someone to cleanse or bless their soul? Would it affect their emotions rather than their physical body? And I would have to say yes. Maybe getting a sickness from an angel makes your sins become a physical thing. So if you start to bleed or you bloodlet or other bodily fluids leave you, maybe it in itself becomes a hazard, starting out as like an ooze or something that's alive, or maybe a deep shadow exits from your body. And so an angel sickness ends up creating in the world the very sins that you're creating yourself. Ooh. Hey, Dante. Let's see. Rickard says angel plague that turns angels into demons or devils. Ouch. Oh, I like that too. Yeah. That's what makes them, air quotes, fall from grace. It's not necessarily them performing evil acts. It could be a plague or something, or maybe even the prime material world infects them in some kind of way, or maybe it's emotions. What if we make a link so that this radiant storms, the clerics that are healing people, these celestial beings are sin eaters, And our sins, our wounds, our deep emotions go into these celestial beings who are turning into fiends. So we're creating our own enemies. I think that would be great. Vince says, I'm currently thinking about the first colonies, and the problems they had is similar to a dimensional invasion. Yeah, it's neither done specifically for good or evil, but just happens to be an invasive thing of, for example, bringing over syphilis or something of that nature. Yeah. Sorry, Dante. AD, you'll have to go and rewind a little bit. We hit on some pretty good things, man, up front. Vince says, yeah, an angel sickness could be a weapon from the devils or demons to defeat them. Ooh. Gotta go again. Watch the rest later. Yes. But anyway, thanks for popping in, Vince, man. And yeah, of course, you're always welcome. But yeah, that could be a sick angel might offer the weapon it takes to defeat the great evils of the world. Or again, an angel gets sick, maybe becomes a fiend, leaves a dark mark in the world, a place where the necrotic energy just grows, but at the same time, so it's kind of weird. Like the angels arrive here to bring their radiance with them, creating these radiant storms of like light or rain. But when they die, they create these gaps of necrotic energy or something like that. Or maybe when they die, they open up it's easier for a fiendish creature to come here. So the angel gets sick and dies. And that's just one more key to unlock a portal for another fiend to walk upon the earth. That might be interesting. Dante says the angel and demon backgrounds to my Pathfinder campaign was future set. The subconscious ruin of starships was radioactive. You're getting a little too ahead. That's tomorrow. Tomorrow's Future Friday. You guys, you're jumping ahead of me. No, I'm messing with you, man. Zev says, well, my grandmother always told me when it rains and an angel shed a tear to create it. Maybe a radiant storm is them trying to cure a sickness by overclocking their power, leaving them even more prone to exposure. Ooh, overclocking. There we go again with you guys. But now I'm messing around. Yes, tomorrow is tech. It can't be Tech Tuesday. It's Tech Friday. It's Future Fridays tomorrow. So yeah, we'll bring up all that. But yes, it could be them crying, like you said, to overclock their abilities. Like it's them like squeezing out every ounce of their life and their energy to maybe to maybe solve in their own way to solve the pain of the people that they're trying to protect, the common people. Dante says, I know. Well, right, pin it. I have to set an alarm. Yeah. Yeah. Getting up at 6, if you're in the States and being here at a minimum of 6 a.m, if you're in Arizona, Scott Poe was here at like 3 or 4 a.m. It's crazy. I think Hawaii was like midnight. Anyway, Zev says Tech Tuesday, Friday. That might be a bit too tight, my dude. Yeah. Well, that's if we go all sci-fi. We could do a week of all sci-fi. Tech Tuesday, modulated Mondays. Yeah. I don't know. We could do we could do Microsoft Mondays. Stupid. Anyway, so that's a really bad squirrel. That's a squirrel that don't touch those nuts. So third pillar. Well, of course we have the side effects of angels, but something brought up Ben from Gulf City, going back to his comment before one of the videos. Angels can bring with themselves like the 4 horsemen. They can bring with themselves plagues. They can bring with themselves the punishment of the gods down onto the world. So what if, like I was saying before, some of these very powerful natural things are not caused by natural forces? So a plague of locusts, a winter area suddenly hit with a heat wave hitherto unseen before in the history of mankind for 1,000 years. They could strike the ground with their flaming swords and create earthquakes and landslides. They could literally stand upon an island and make the seas recede away from them, leaving dead fish and crabs in their wake as the rivers and oceans just boil away. Like, you could really have some fun with this, even if you could even go so far as to make the battle of angels and fiends and demons in the sky above be a natural thing, that you literally, the PCs of first level, look up in the sky, and unlike seeing just the sun or the moon and stars or clouds, there could literally be flashes of light and winged people seen at a long distance, just blasting their power, and their blood and their death and their flames and their light and darkness may spill down to the earth in random things. Like, it could just be radiant and necrotic rain all at the same time, just spilling down on the earth. And these battles could be happening for 1,000 generations, and it's just a normal thing where the PCs have to run between, maybe the average person has to take cover and almost kind of like predict these battles and kind of dodge the raindrops as the raindrops hit the ground, and give spawn to, like, not only the undead, but like strange living creatures and unliving creatures all at the same time. That'd be kind of cool. Instead of raining cats and dogs or frogs, it could actually literally be raining like hordes of creatures down onto the population at just random battles or something. That would be sweet. Zeb says, in Ravnica, I love that Boros architecture counts for angels being able to fly, walls having open windows big enough for angels to roost or enter. And we brought this up the other day too, where architecture itself might be affected. For example, if you can fly, you don't need steps. So it's possible you can maybe walk up 3 flights of the castle, but to get to the 10th level of these locations to speak with them, you're going to have to be invited, or climb up with some ropes, or use a levitation spell, and of course, if you're up there, they're going to want to know why you're up there. So that might be a thing too. Thanks, Rickard. Rickard says, modification Monday, tech Tuesday, warp drive Wednesday, terraforming Thursdays, future Friday. I'm keeping this. I'm keeping it. we could do a whole, we might do a whole sci-fi themed week. Might do that. I'm kind of feeling it. I'm warming up to it. My cybernetic insides are spinning with I've defractured my brain, and I'm feeling excited about something like that. Maybe. Damn it! That's actually in my old campaign. Sorry. Yep. Jay Klein says, all buildings have a landing pad on the top built to promote angels touching down and bestowing blessings. Ooh, maybe in your setting, there are, like you say, there are pilgrimages. Yeah, goddamn talking toasters. Maybe there are reasons for people to climb to the highest peaks, and everywhere you go, there are these tall peaks that people must scale to get to. So in the past, the pilgrimages were very easy. Maybe there were steps, or the angelic beings maybe led people up to the highest peaks, buildings that were constructed or something to get up to these high points. But maybe long ago they left their posts, or these battles have taken such a toll on the environment that there are these tall towers everywhere, even in the deep forests and jungles and in the deserts. And the PCs have to climb up there, maybe to quote unquote gain some of their power, or to level up. When they get there, they may get a divine calling that grants them even greater power to go upon their quests and such. Or who knows, maybe there's like there are maps of ley lines of power, and some of that power, that radiance, might be 1,000 feet in the sky, and the only way to get there is to build a tower to get to it. And so there may be these ancient towers that used to reach up to these 1,000-foot points, which people would be able to walk through them and be blessed with healthy and soulful and living energy. But now the towers have fallen, but the radiant spot is still 1,000 feet in the air. That'd be kind of weird. Zeb says, I now just imagine someone with orange glow sticks of an airport landing strip to guide angels where to land. Funny, but possible. Maybe they're like, come here, land here. Do. I could see that doing the little dances with the glow sticks and stuff like that. Like, oh man, touching down. Angels land into the airport, leaving some souls that have been brought back from the heavens down to earth again. People coming out into the food court to meet their loved ones as they pass through security. Oh man, Jay Cryan says an angels only building could make for a fun dungeon for non-flying PCs. Absolutely. Why not make an angels building a place? Maybe the PCs sneak in when the angels are gone. Although, to imagine an angel not knowing someone's in there is kind of ridiculous. But of course, we can come up with any number of ideas. An angel infected with necrotic sickness that cannot be healed by normal means. So the PCs have to literally go through a dungeon that there are no steps in it. They literally have to go up level by level to get to the instead of going down deeper, they actually have to climb higher. That would be kind of cool, and bring with them something to either summon the angel back or heal them, or using something to sneak in so the angels can't see them or sense their presence. Or maybe the PCs are on the same side and they're doing it to restore the glory that the celestial beings once had. And you could make different rooms that they encounter. Trapped, maybe they're trapped evil things that were once held at bay from society, but now they've let loose. The angels have been collecting the sins of mankind, and as each locked away sin is released into the angelic dungeon, the PCs have to fight it so that it does not escape from it. And the only thing maybe one of the things that keeping them back are the fact that there are no steps. Rickard says, a celestial pool, a small pool of liquid, radiant life energy that calls out to all living creatures in an area. Fail the whiz save and you're drawn to it. Fail again and you walk in a trance to it. Goes on to say, as all living creatures want the pool, they will fight over it to gain access to the precious liquid life. Well, hell yeah. If you find the fountain of youth, you're going to kill everybody that's going to come close to it, right? And again, that radiant life might make a simple creature like a small sparrow into a very giant, murderous bird. Drinking of the wolves that patrol the area in the forest that drink from it might become dire wolves and defend their territory to their last. Or your average pack of wolves becomes blink dogs, and your average pack of black panthers in the jungle become displacer beasts. Well, maybe not from a radiant liquid, but maybe so. Maybe that is it. Zev says, quote, this is a no-fly zone. My child, we have the permission of the gods. Yeah, well, until you have permission from town hall, tell that to the judge. He hands him a ticket. Yeah. Azorius soldiers with the Boros are like handing out tickets to flyers that are flying in the no-fly zones. Oh man, Deadman Storyteller says, or an angel that's fighting a greater evil being. It could be an angel fighting a greater evil being, maybe fighting it off in their celestial dungeon, as it were. Although maybe the word dungeon, celestial tower, and the PCs have to get there to help to maybe it's a stalemate fight, and the PCs have to get there to help the angelic being fight off this evil creature as the angel has trapped it inside of one of its towers or something. That might be another way to ramp up the time frame as well. Dante says, oh, hold on, I got to do the voice. ATC Angel Traffic Control Squad, channel 999.909. Imaginary contact over. You gotta do it that way. Oh man, Zev says angel bird seed shops are prevalent in Ravnica. They have the same stigma as cops with donuts. Oh man, PC plays an investigative rogue, bends down. What? Bends down. What's that you find? Is that evidence? I see bird seed. I see breadcrumbs. Damn it, the Celestials are here. Yeah. Undo says works like a displacer beast, but instead of phase shifting, it is a flashing that causes you to miss. Ooh, I, I'm I'm wrapping that around myself. I love that. So yeah, definitely reskinning it. Displacer beast instead of being black and having that dark black and gray or midnight blue. Um, Muscles undulating under their bodies. Maybe they are white and golden and pale blue, and they are in service of the celestial beings. Still, now follow me on this. They're still horrible and they're still evil because maybe they are hunting down, or maybe they're trying to consume the the righteousness and justice and grace of those of goodly people to feel the same thing they felt after drinking from the pools of radiant liquids. So it's possible maybe these creatures are trying to unconsciously fulfill themselves with the light that they once had before. And the goodly people are the ones that are being attacked, not the evil ones. And that's wow. Thanks, D. Zev says, Aurelia, ma'am? Got your usual toasted wheat with a hint of nutmeg. Talking about Ravnica. Well, maybe you know what we'll have to do. You know what, Zev? Maybe we will one day do a like I always thought about doing a why series with the big old question mark. Like why Ravnica? Why Eberron? Why Dark Sun? Why Innistrad? Why Planescape? Like why these settings? Why Western? Whatever, something like that. I thought about doing a series like that. So maybe we might go into that, and you might help me out there, Zev. Would they become Blazer Beasts? Yeah, I could. I'm imagining that even because today is Third Pillar Thursday, with the creatures and with the environment and stuff, you could really, if you changed all of our classic, like our drow, our everything in the underdark, shadows and evil, and reskin that, just flip it over, just take it and flip it upside down, literally and figuratively, and make it of light and goodness and golden and everything. I think it could still be as horrible, and a great way to throw a monkey wrench into what's expected. We know we know what black dragons are and shadow demons. We know what the Underdark holds, but what is a drow that is like of golden light? What kind of race would that be? Are they just Asimars, or is it something more? What kind of Imagine, for example, reskinning, let's say, a Medusa, and instead of turning you into stone, you just get paralyzed with this golden light. You become an alabaster statue with a smile on your face, and you're standing with your chest up and proud with your weapon, your weapon or your hands held aloft, looking into the sky. And so instead of them being Medusas with like snakes in their hair, maybe maybe they have golden strands of hair that, male or female, that lead down to their waist, and the strands of hair wrap around you like golden cords that make you feel good. Instead of being quote unquote harmed when your hit points are brought down, maybe it's a feeling of bliss, and you want that. So you fail those whiz saves or whatever, your charisma saves or intelligence saves. Maybe you become, it's like an addiction or something. You want to feel that way. Deadman says, why Ravenloft? I think you're being a little sarcastic with that. Wow, boy. No, you felt that way about Ravenloft. I'm picking with you, Deadman. Zev says, I would love all these except Dark Sun. Too grim for me. and like, why Star Wars? Wouldn't that just be older? You're just bringing up the drow. Like, wouldn't that just be older Eladrin? They were celestial elves, yeah. And of course, you could just say, well, the celestial version of a drow could be whatever exists, like the Eladrin or something like that. Or you could literally reskin what they are. So you could reskin, their powers, or even pick up another representative other than Loth or something, or even in your own world. Let's say you don't want to do that. Oh, sorry, Zev. Yeah, you might want to go deal with that. Sorry about that. But anyway, yes, we've hit our hour mark, or getting close to it, a couple seconds away from it, Ed, from my accounting. Guys, I just want to thank you very much. I know we didn't go too deeply into third pillar, but I could imagine that the PCs would find it horrible to be in a realm where there is no darkness, and it's very hard to be deceitful and to lie and cheat their way through things and to get ways. So it might be necessary for the PCs to set up a situation where, how can I say this, that they set things in motion so that if they are caught, they don't have to lie about their motivations. Almost like, hey, we're going to do a heist and then maybe cover up or erase our memories of doing the heist to get the heist done, or have people perform certain actions in the heist that the others don't know about, like a rebel cell, so that you can tell the truth by saying, hey, I don't know where these other people are saying. Ricker says, I have to say, after reading through most of your desert environments, I get a better idea of Third Pillar Thursdays. Oh, yeah. I'm going to bend away here just for a slight moment. That's what, since it's the last hour, I can do a little self-promotion here. That's what these are all about, right? That's what the cinematic environments are all about. It's basically, it's like, Sam says, I wish I wasn't poor. Yeah, see you, Jay. Just got to get some sleep. Yeah, Jonathan Crime. Sorry, Jay Money. Thank you very much for joining me. But anyway, guys, just wanted to say that that these are the physical books. What is this? Plains and Grasslands and Aquatic Depths, and I don't know. There's others in here. But anyway, the whole point of these is to give you a spark for using the environment. So maybe you just read through it and go, oh, I didn't even think about that. One thing, side note. See you, babe. Love you. Absolutely. Last thing. All right. Two, it may give you some ideas to put some natural hazards out there. Basically traps, right? You want traps. You want you want obstacles for your PCs to overcome, instead of just, roll for another random encounter with another creature. And says I need to hopefully find them in a game shop because I hate buying things online. I don't know if you're gonna. Well, I don't know if you'll ever find, maybe find them in a game shop. This is the there we go. This is the Desert Waste one that Rickert was talking about. So you get a spark of information, you get some rules, whether you want to use them or not, whatever, that to create these hazards. But my favorite is, I'm a very cinematic person. I'm a very visual person. I love movies. I love television. I love great action. And I'm very much against analysis paralysis. Sometimes you just need to have Flint, Michigan. I am the state down below from you there, sir. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. So technically we're like maybe you're the celestial and I'm the fiend, and we're bang bumping heads. You need to source your images for the book. Well, these are all the blasted lands and stuff. These are all like that's another thing, talking about the images for them, where they come from. They're actually, it's put through a oil color filter. Anyway, I know you I know what you're saying, but the last thing for me, for the cinematic environments, and what I really hope that people bring to the table are creating that triangle. The triangle is like a very stable, a stable construction. And what I mean is, your players are fighting something. Okay, let's break up one of the most boring encounters. Players fighting goblins, or players fighting zombies, or players fighting skeletons, right? But where are they doing it? Okay, are your players on a small craft in a swamp with zombies reaching up below them from the dark waters about to push the boat over? Are the players in a frozen wasteland in a cave, and when they light their fire, the fire they're used to create their heat to keep from freezing in the frigid north is melting the ice away, and the zombies and skeletons are coming out of the ice after them after melting it? Are the players in a desert and the cursed desert, and they're walking along the desert, and zombies are rising and skeletons are rising from the desert sands as the winds blow, and the bodies are beaten and blasted with the sand as they rise out of the sands and all that? Like, where are your actions happening? Are they happening underwater? Are they happening on a tower? Are the PCs running from zombies as they're running across um, uh, a vacant city, and there's like dilapidated buildings and they're run down, and the PCs are running across rooftops to try to find cover from the hordes of zombies below them as the rooftops are breaking? And it's not necessarily the PCs and what they're fighting, but where are they doing it? Are they doing it on a narrow ledge or a rope bridge or in the canopy of trees or waist deep in swamp waters or in a rainforest or what have you? Are they doing it in darkness or fog or a thunderstorm or like, for me, that's where you get the amazing thing, because it allows the spotlight to change and allows it to shift. Sure, you might have a PC in there that's like, I'm dealing out the most damage, so I'm the best. But if you have other options, right? Maybe that bard is like, hey, why don't we make a rock slide and cover all these things? Sure, you can kill everything in one hit, but I've got an idea to make a rock slide and we can cover 50 of them. So who's more effective in this situation? You know, sure, your wizard casting the fireball might feel like they're the most powerful person in the world, unless you're on a storm-tossed ship in a raging storm, in which case the wizard might not want to cast a fireball on the very ship they're trying to survive on, but the monk now is like, shit, I get to hey, I get to swing from ropes and kick people's asses and everything. So it's shifting around that spotlight, putting characters and PCs and players on their toes to just to be more creative and to think of things outside the box and to change things up. So me, I'm your self-appointed third pillarist, DBJ. I know I've gone on a little bit too long, kind of self-promoting myself, but I tend not to do that too often. So I apologize for that. Guys, thank you very much. Tomorrow is Future Friday. We still will talk about Angels Celestials. And how the hell does that work with Future Friday? I don't know. Join in then. I'll see you guys later.